Hello, thank you for joining me again. We're back in Gulzanuza on one level and Felpham, Surrey on another level, where Blake is living with his wife. As the struggle continues, then, Los's whole family become involved. So there's Los, there's his emanation, Enotharmon, and there's his sons, Rintra, Palamabron, Theotormon, and Bromion. They all have different personalities, as we'll see through the reading. There's another character brought into this too called Thulla. And Thulla seems to be made up from a base word that holds the idea of salvation through sacrifice. And I think Blake is using this character to personify art being damaged to some extent by the friction between all these men. So I think with those few things said, it's enough to get on with the reading. I don't think I'll do a conclusion, it's not necessary. So I'll just thank you now for listening and hope to see you next time. Bye bye. Meanwhile went Satan before Los, accusing Palamabron, himself exculpating with mildest speech, for himself believed that he had not oppressed nor injured the refractory servants. But Satan returning to his mills, for Palamabron had served the mills of Satan as the easier task, found all confusion, and back returned to Los, not filled with vengeance but with tears, himself convinced of Palamabron's turpitude. Los beheld the servants of the mills drunken with wine and dancing wild with shouts and Palamabron's songs, rending the forest green with echoing confusion, though the sun was risen on high. Then Los took off his left sandal, placing it on his head, signal of solemn mourning. When the servants of the mills beheld the signal, they in silence stood, though drunk with wine. Los wept, but Rintra also came, and Enetharmon on his arm leaned tremblingly, observing all these things. And Los said, Ye genii of the mills, the sun is on high, your labours call you. Palamabron is also in sad dilemma. His horses are mad, his harrow confounded, his companions enraged. Mine is the fault. I should have remembered that pity divides the soul, and man unmans. Follow with me, my plough. This mournful day must be a blank in nature. Follow with me, and tomorrow again resume your labours, and this day shall be a mournful day. Wildly they followed Los and Rintra, and the mills were silent. They mourned all day, this mournful day of Satan and Palamabron. And all the elect and all the redeemed mourned one towards another upon the mountains of Albion among the cliffs of the dead. They ploughed in tears. Incessant poured Jehovah's rain and Molech's thick fires, contending with the rain, thundered above, rolling terrible over their heads. Satan wept over Palamabron. Theotormon and Bromium contended on the side of Satan, pitying his youth and beauty, trembling at eternal death. Michael contended against Satan in the rolling thunder. Thulla, the friend of Satan, also reproved him. Faint their reproof. But Rintra, who is of the reprobate, of those formed to destruction, in indignation for Satan's soft dissimulation of friendship, flamed above all the ploughed furrows, angry, red, and furious, till Michael sat down in the furrow, weary, dissolved in tears. Satan, who drave the team beside him, stood angry and red. He smote Thulla and slew him, and he stood terrible over Michael, urging him to arise. He wept. Enetharmon saw his tears, but Los hid Thulla from her sight, lest she should die of grief. She wept, she trembled, she kissed Satan, she wept over Michael. She formed a space for Satan and Michael and for the poor infected. Trembling, she wept over the space and closed it with a tender moon. Low secret buried Thulla, weeping disconsolate over the moony space. But Palamabran called down a great solemn assembly, that he who will not defend truth may be compelled to defend a lie, that he may be snared and caught and taken. And all Eden descended into Palamabron's tent, among Albion's druids and bards, in the caves beneath Albion's death couch, in the caverns of death, in the corner of the Atlantic. And in the midst of the great assembly Palamabron prayed, O God, protect me from my friends, that they have not power over me. Thou hast given me power to protect myself from my bitterest enemies. Mark well my words, they are your eternal salvation.